Hey Milagros, here's another lesson. So we're going to work on technique today, and we're practicing out of the Trevor Wye practice book for the flute. And this is the Technique Volume 2. So let me read the beginning. Technique, general. Regular practice is most important to progress in technique. Time lost cannot be made up the next day. If an athlete misses 2 days of training, he doesn't try in one day to make up for all the time he has lost. He would soon pull a muscle. Work regularly at technique. Work for longer at the keys you find most difficult. Whatever time is available to you for practice, about 1/3 should be spent on these exercises. Work hardest at the weakest fingers. When a difficulty arises, repeat the difficult bar 4 more times. In all the exercises, A. Maintain good posture, never sit down. B. Use a good tone. C. Play with clockwork precision. D. Try to keep your fingers close to the keys. It cannot be too strongly emphasized that technical progress is a question of time, patience, and intelligent work. Just a couple of things to remember. If the sound doesn't come out, don't press the keys hard. It's not the keys, it's your embouchure and fingering. Technique. The finger muscles need constant practice to achieve A. Independence from each other, and B. Speed. Speaking of speed, after we go through the first exercises and you learn the notes, you'll want to practice with a metronome and start at the slowest common speed for all of the keys that you can play in, and play only at that speed. I recommend starting, I think, around 60 BPM and then move up incrementally from there, only when you can play all keys without mistakes. Okay, so the finger muscles need constant practice to achieve A. Independence from each other, and B. Speed. Scales are essential to this aim, but only when played from the tonic or key note to the top of the compass, then down to the lowest note on the flute and back again to the key note, like this. So that would be that was a G scale, G major, and I'd probably get about a C minus on that. One more time. Maybe a B. Okay. 1-octave scales or scales over a 12th are not much good. Your time would be more profitably spent elsewhere. Scales over the whole compass, played slowly, are within the reach of most young players. True, most local examinations require scales over 1 octave or a 12th. This is to keep in line with all the other instruments. The flute fingering is easier than the clarinet, oboe, and bassoon, and it is easier to play fast in all keys on the flute. Therefore, you should aim at the ideal of exercising your fingers and brain over the whole range of the flute from low C to high B in all keys. In preparation for these scales, therefore, the following exercises are important. Before starting, it would be a good plan to exercise the weakest fingers, the right hand, third finger, and little finger, and to stretch the little finger so that the low C sharp and C natural can be played without it straightening. Always bend the little finger. If necessary, use it on its right side. Play this exercise using the little finger on the C sharp key, the one with the pad in, to play C sharp. Try not to move your hand. So basically what this is a scale being played from E flat. But instead of using the C sharp, Trevor is suggesting that you jump that pinky all the way over to the C sharp key itself, the round key, and play with that. Now I've got I've got a B foot, so my space is too far for me to do that. But if you have just a straight C flute with the regular C foot, you can easily pop over to the right and play that C sharp key. But in any case, if you do have a B foot, be very mindful about that positioning of going from the C to the C sharp key. Alright, if you're not Milagros and you're watching this lesson, let me show you the fingering for that. Okay. See how it's bent, going down to the side? Not like that, but like this. Okay. Next page. Repeat this exercise many times during your practice. Then change the E flat to an E natural, but make sure you use your D sharp key for E natural. Meaning this. I don't know if that was right. So then he goes through a few more of the problem keys, the problem fingerings, and the exercises using the C sharp and C naturals and all of those lower scales. I'm not going to go through that right now because we're going to move on to the daily exercises. So now commence with daily exercises, remembering the following points. A. Strive for evenness. Play like clockwork. Again, that will occur with the metronome. Until you learn the fingerings, just leave the metronome out. B. Always use the correct fingering, i.e. 1. Middle E flat with the first finger off. Not 2. F sharp, always with the third finger right hand. Not the middle. No, this, yes. And 3. Use D sharp key for every note except low and middle D natural. And low C natural and C sharp. And the very top B natural and C. That's it. Play the exercises with a good tone. Practice them every day. That's the tough one. Problems box. When you have difficulty playing with the correct fingering, 2 or 3 notes together, then the numbers at the end of each line refer to the scale exercises which follow. These will help you overcome your particular problem. After a time, it will no longer be necessary to refer to these exercises as they are quite self-explanatory. They back up points B and C in the preface. B and C in the preface was patience and intelligent work, I think. Anyway, so that was in reference to the exercises that I didn't discuss. All right, now we'll start daily exercises 1. I'm going to take it slow. I'm not perfect at this, and I'll probably mess up a little bit, but just so you get the gist. So we start at the low C and then work up. And I'm not using a metronome because I'm not perfect on it either, and but the idea is to get to the point where you know the notes well enough to be able to use the metronome. So you go through each scale just rolling up from C on up. Now let me say about the B flat, I learned using the 4-finger B flat. Okay. Not the teetered B flat. So I recommend learning with the 4-finger B flat. And then when you get more experience, then go to the quick B flat, just so you have ability to use both. Okay, so now we're going to start with starting on B flat, coming down. Okay, so as we're referring to the scale exercises, it will be clear how to work at the remainder of the daily exercises, and will help you to invent new ways of overcoming your technical problems. Okay, now we'll continue on F sharp. instructions are go back to the star sign, which means go back to F, starting on F, but on the second octave. If you're familiar, and continue one octave higher as far as you can go. If your familiarity with the upper register is limited, try to include one new line each week. You will soon reach all the upper notes. Alright, so I'll fumble through this. Starting on F, on second octave. Breath support. Play it about a mezzo forte so you have enough air. And remember, the higher speed velocity of the higher wind velocity is what you need for the higher octaves. And remember to point the breath down. Instead of across, think down. Okay. Starting on the F. Gets a little tough there. Okay, so I can get as high as the high D sharp, which goes up to a nice high B. It's fun. So I'll make a note of that. So then we'll make a note of where you stop each week. I got, well, I did get 2 measures beyond. Today's what, the 19th? 1, 19, 14. Okie doke. Alright, so that's it for today. This is the, again, the Trevor Wye technique. Thank you, Mr. Trevor. Have a good one. Ciao.